Oh, I should do the. I think I've been a bit turned off by a lot of videos describing metamodernism. It's a complex topic that feels very intuitive, and I've always just wanted a video that explains it as intuitively as it feels, so that there could be kind of a solid basis to start from in communicating with others without overcomplicating it. I've been practicing my Adobe Premiere skills, and I figured I would make something quick that would help explain this concept while giving me a chance to mess around with my software a little bit more. I aim to be a bit succinct in this video, so I won't cover everything, but if you want to learn more about it, I hope this acts as a good primer for the topic without complicated words or chapter titles. Chapter 1. Pre-post-proto-metamodernism. The first concept that would be helpful to think about is I got a BeReal notification. The first concept that would be helpful to think about is the two realms of rationalism and relativism. Rationalism is the belief that there are absolute truths and that we as humans experiencing the world are able to measure and ultimately understand the world itself. We see this in the sciences, how we're able to create buildings or like medicine or vehicles, things that work. But also in the realm of linguistics. If we have a fixed, idealized way of saying things, then we can communicate anything. Or in the field of psychology, where if we think about the human brain hard enough, we'll understand everything there is to know about the human psyche. We see it in how we've been able to predict patterns of the world and be right sometimes, or the way that we categorize things into categories of things. If we wanted to make the world a better place, we may align ourselves with some political ideology or political party. These propose a grand narrative of how things are, how things should be, and how we get there. The grand narratives of rationalism aren't exclusive to social systems, it's instead a way of viewing the world. When you're in a depressive spiral and nothing makes sense, you look for the things that make sense. Like, my depressive spiral was about me not getting enough sleep, and had nothing to do with the nature of the human condition. Relativism, on the other hand, raises critiques of these grand narratives, highlighting more the complexity and intersection of things in a virtually immeasurable way. It proposes that for every idea of how the world works for some, there are 100 ways that idea doesn't fit the reality of others. The creations of science didn't lead to a utopia of rationalism. Instead, they're used as weapons of incomplete or inaccurate ideologies designed to understand the world, but only through the eyes of those who believe it. We as humans cannot grasp the vastness or smallness of things, and relativists see rationalism as our pattern-seeking brain holding on to what we think makes sense, while rejecting the intricacies of the million things that show its inaccuracy. These are best seen kind of in reaction to each other. These are brief examples. I'm no expert. But think of the relativistic counterculture movement of the 60s in response to the rationalistic American ideals of the 1950s, or the rationalistic response of mainstream culture in the 80s as it seeks meaning and power in the wake of the confused, distrusting post-war 70s. Think of the relativistic, ironic 90s as it moved into a new era of massive globalized information in the wake of the failures to address the issues that underpinned the optimistic veneer of the 80s. The pendulum swings from rationalism to relativism back to rationalism, as this graphic from Google Images shows when you search rationalistic relativistic pendulum. In the 20th century, the terms came more into popular discussion. Modernism was that era's rationalistic march towards progress, and postmodernism was the reaction to it, the fragmented multitudes of the nature of reality. And these were inherently at odds with each other. These are the two general feelings that can feel intuitive but hard to place: the meaning and the no meaning, the universal and the individual. If it's hard to identify with these arbitrary dichotomies, use this time to figure out an arbitrary dichotomy that works best for you. while you're doing that, please research modernism and postmodernism, because my brain is like a baby rattle. I can shake my head around and corresponding noise will come out, but it's very possible that you have no idea what's actually in there at all. Chapter 2. Metamodernism. We can hold on to one of these ideals forever. There's like an innate meaning to like the universe, and like if you like read my blog, you'll know that I found like the equation to the meaning of life. Or like, no, nothing ever means anything. We're all gonna die and turn into dust, and then we'll be free of our suffering as loose structures of atoms, truly alone, truly disconnected. And like, yeah, totally. But like, our lived experience tells us that neither of these are fully wrong, but neither of these are fully right. We can see patterns in the world. We can understand the causation of things, while also recognizing the difficulty in predicting all of the factors, the millions of disagreements the world has with any way of viewing it, the ways that our views of things can be corrected or proven wrong by our experiences or the experiences of others. And we can take that to further inform our worldview, trying to make sense of all things again and doing that process for a while. If you know ancient Greek concepts and are watching this, you're probably like, yeah, I do know that feeling of going in between those two things, also called metaxy. Then I'd be like, yeah, that's where the prefix meta comes in. It's a going between of the modern and postmodern ideals, never fully embracing one, but recognizing what each brings you to. If modernism is to make meaning, and postmodernism reminds you that everything is meaningless, metamodernism is the creation of meaning among those meaningless atoms, then recognizing its meaninglessness again, then making meaning out of it again. Modernism says life is good, while postmodernism says no, life is chaotic and violent, and good is a word that was created and subsequently stretched to the point of meaninglessness. And then metamodernism says, yeah, and life is good. There's a quote that I feel rings particularly true that is often attributed to this statistician George Box, but the concept predates his work some. And it goes, all models are wrong, but some are useful. It's true that all models are wrong. There is no equation or statistical prediction or ideology that perfectly maps onto the universe at large, and to say otherwise is naive with everything that we know. But still, some of these schemas are useful or at least necessary just to navigate the landscape of individualistic experiences of the world. I'm a humanist. That's my modern condition. I'm sorry. Sorry about it. I think there is something magical and connecting about how we can share with each other our internal experiences through words, through art. I feel beauty in things that are sacred or in the things that we share as humans. And I know that by the nature of atoms, me saying what I feel and you hearing it and feeling something similar doesn't really connect us. We are still disparate structures of atoms far away from each other. There will be no word that can explain what I feel, and you might even feel something else entirely. This may all mean nothing, and there will be a time when there's no one to hear this. Meaning doesn't exist within the world itself. Beauty or hope might just be the word for some chemical in my brain that I'll never understand. And I don't know what I would do without it.
Wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me again, I would understand.
Thanks for watching my video if you did. And you're not hearing this if you didn't. If there's any interest in this video, maybe I'll make more. There's a lot of different ideas in this folder of ideas, like new sincerity or post-irony, that I would be willing to talk about. Heck, maybe I'll even do some research. I hope you liked it. Peace. What the hell is going on? What the hell is that going on out there? Gotta make sure they don't hit my car. Ferrari.